Welcome back, friends. The next important topic in this series is language fundamentals. Previously, we have broadly covered features of Java programming language. What are different features that Java offers us so that we can create new application or we can create new software using Java application. Then in the next series, we have covered how Java uses the Java naming conventions, how the packages are named, how the classes are named, what are the rules and regulations by following which, or what are the principle by following which Java creates its own name for packages, for classes, for variables, for constant and all. We have clearly seen all these pieces. We have discussed very thoroughly about all these pieces. If you missed that video, please go back to those videos and come back here so that we can continue. Now, here we will start with the basics of Java programming language. So you can call this as fundamental of Java programming language, or some of the tutors we are there, they are calling this one as language fundamentals. So all the things are same, no problem at all. Before going into the fundamentals of Java programming language, there might be a question in your mind, sir, you are talking about Java features. You have already discussed about Java features. You have also discussed about Java naming convention. That's fine. We understood what you are taught. We understood what exactly you want to say. Now we have a biggest doubt. What that doubt is? The doubt is, what is the purpose of learning Java programming language? Means why we should learn Java programming language? The answer to this question is different for different scenario. There may be chance some people are there who have completed their technical education, maybe graduation or normal graduation. They are waiting for some interview. They need to clear the interview, and they need to clear the interview because Java is a programming language. Nowadays it is very famous, and in each interview you definitely have to face some questions from core Java. 100% pakka you are definitely going to get questions from Java, and you can only able to answer these questions if you learn Java very thoroughly. Otherwise, lots of concepts are there, you might not able to answer. That might be one reason, but that is not the all. The major reason why maximum people, why the corporate sector is using Java, they are using Java programming language to design application for the customer or for the client. Now, what kind of application we can create in Java? We can create lot of types of application, and we have already discussed this particular feature in features of Java. We can create standalone application, we can create distributed application using this programming language. Now, the conclusion is why we are learning programming language to create some applications or some softwares for client or for our requirement. This is why we are learning Java. Now, before getting into the entire process of learning Java, now you will say, so how can we are able to create an application using Java? To understand this, we need to understand few basic things. What are they? They are like, see, whenever, if you can go back to your early childhood, when you have started learning English, can you recall when you have started learning English, what you does? Your teacher who was there in pre-nursery, or it is universally accepted, it is universal truth that your mother is your first teacher. When she used to teach you English, what she said? Beta, yaad rakho, this is A. Next, this is B. And you are learning all the alphabets from A to Z. Now, after then, what you did? You have learnt like A for apple, B for ball, like that. And where did apple came out? Where this ball came out? Where this cat came out? You can say, sir, these are some of the words which are already there in English dictionary. So now I am calling this dictionary as library. Now just get back to our discussion. Apple, ball and cat, all these are one words which are already there in English library, right? And after learning this, we could able to create our own sentence, doesn't it? I am eating apple, like that. I love cat, something like that. We are creating sentence. And once we learn to create a sentence, now happily we can communicate with people. We can also write a story, something like that. So this is the whole story of any language. I'm not talking about programming language. I'm talking about the normal language that all of us have covered from our childhood. Now, let us put this experience into programming language. So whenever we talk about programming language, the developer who designed this programming language has created lot of libraries for us, and by using those libraries what we can do, we can able to create different application as per our requirement, like this. Like since apple, bat, cat are there, we could happily create a sentence, and using the sentence we can happily create all the essays. Now the essays are replaced with application. The essays are replaced with software. Applications and software both are same. I don't have to give much explanation for this particular word, right? Okay. Now we could able to understand कि every programming language, definitely will agree with me, every programming language comes with some predefined library, right? Now the next question is, sir, what are the predefined libraries in Java, and how they will help me, and how I should use them? So these kinds of question need to be answered so that we can happily able to create different applications in Java. Now, to answer all these questions, we need to understand the fundamental of Java programming language, right? And inside this fundamental language, we'll start from the individual logical unit, and then we'll cover and we'll end up with writing statements in Java. So our journey will be start from individual logical unit and will end at creating statements so that we can create applications after that. So let us complete up to this point, then we'll think for creating application. Now let's start with, suppose I am writing few things, like I am writing a word like for, I am writing a word like while, I am writing a word like if, I am writing some words like this. Now definitely you people have some kind of programming knowledge, or somewhere you have heard about these three words. 100% pakka maximum of you definitely heard about these three words. Now if I'll ask you what these three words are, definitely some of you say, sir, these are some of the words or some of the keywords which are there in every programming language. You are absolutely correct. No problem at all. You are absolutely correct. Now listen very carefully. Now, can I tell this for, this while, and this if? Can I call this? Can I call all individuals are logical units of programming language? Now I repeat, can I call all these individuals as one logical unit of the programming language? I can call this, right? If I can call this as one logical unit of a programming language, then we can say, we can name this one technically, and the technical name of logical unit, individual and logical unit of Java programming language is called as lexeme, right? So lexeme is the word, a lexeme is the terminology from where fundamentals of Java program starts. Now what exactly lexeme is? Lexeme is individual logical unit of any programming, of a programming language, or if we will talk about Java, of Java programming language. Let me write it once again. I was written like if, let me write switch again, or let me write while. Now if is a lexeme, switch is a lexeme, and while is a lexeme, because all these are one individual and logical unit of Java programming language, right? Now let us write the definition of lexeme first, then we'll move forward. So how we can define lexeme? Now the individual sorry, the individual and logical unit of a Java program is called as lexem, right? So now you understood what exactly lexem is. Now let me write it here. I was written if, maybe for, maybe while, no problem. Now we get able to understand this is one lexem, this is one lexem, and this is one lexem. Now listen very carefully. Can we group all these lexems together? If I'll combine all these lexems together, right? All these three belongs to a specific category called as keywords. Remember? Now, if is a keyword, for is a keyword, and while is a keyword. See, please do understand the concept properly. If as an individual is a lexem, for as an individual is a lexem, while as an individual is a lexem. If I combine all these three together into a group, into a collection, that will be called as a keyword. Now, since these are called as lexems, this keyword can be called as a token. Now, this is a very good question for the interview room. This is a basic question in the interview room. Can you please define what is token in Java? The answer to that question is very simple. The answer to that question is, in order to define your lexems, in order to define tokens, you need to understand lexems. And first of all, we have defined lexems very clearly. Now, if I have to define tokens, I can say collection of lexems. Collection of lexems under a particular group is called as token. Right? So what exactly tokens are? Now we can happily define. We can happily define what exactly token are. Now in Java, individual object, like we are just discussed, individual objects are called as lexems, and if we talk about grouping them together, we can say that are lexems. Say let's take one more example. Suppose I am writing I am writing an expression a is equal to b plus c. Right? Suppose I am writing int a equals to b plus c. No problem at all. Right? Now let us look into that. As per the discussion, int a, this equals to again this one, and again this one, followed by this one. All these are one lexems, because all these are one individual logical unit of Java programming language. Right? Now the next step, if I want to group them together, collect them together under a particular group, remember this word, collection of lexems under a particular group is called as token. What that tells me? Let me combine. I can combine a, I can combine this, I can combine this. Now this can be called as variable, or we can call this one as identifier. Right? Okay. Now the next one. The next one in the series, the next one here, what we'll do, we'll think of the next one, right? This and this equals to and plus, they can be grouped together under a particular group called as operator. Now int can be grouped together. Int itself belongs to a group called as data type. Similarly, this one belongs to a group called as special characters. Now how many groups I could able to find here? Data type, operator, identifier, special characters, like that. Now all these groups are called as tokens. I think this will give you clear-cut clarity, the difference between a token and a lexem. Right? Okay. Remember, this is a very basic question that maximum of the interviewer is asking to the people. what exactly a token is and what is the significance of token in Java, and what are the different tokens Java provides us to create application by using Java programming language. Right now, the next point of discussion is once we could able to understand what a individual unit is, then we have combined that into token. Now let us see what are the different tokens Java offers me so that I can create Java applications in that. So Java offers us some kind of token, some type of token, or you can say lots of tokens, and that token includes something like that. If I'll talk about Java fundamental, I should talk about what I should talk about tokens. We'll talk about token. We'll talk about maybe data type. We'll talk about typecasting. All these are included in fundamentals of Java programming language, and we have just introduced token, right? Typecasting. Then 4 we can talk about arrays. So up to this we will cover in language fundamental of Java programming language, right? We are here right at this point. If we'll talk about token, Java gives us varieties of token. You know, tokens are grouped. Token are a group of lexemes which are collected under a particular group. Now, one group is there to which we are calling as identifier. Second token in Java might be called as literals. Don't worry, we'll talk everything about all these tokens in detail. That is very, very vital for us. Next, we'll talk about keywords. Next, we'll talk about all these are tokens. Next, we'll talk about operators. And why data type? Why I have not included data types in tokens? Because you will see after some time this data type will be covered in keywords. So we are not calling data type as a token, right? So now by the name or by the mean of token, we will cover this 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll cover what an identifier is, what a literal is, what a keyword is, and what operators are and how many operators are there, and we'll go through one by one, right? Once we complete data type, we might cover typecasting, arrays, like that. But we'll follow a sequence. This is what we are going to cover in language fundamental. Today we'll be only concentrating of one token, that is identifier. Right? So now let me summarize what we have covered just now. What we have covered something like, we could able to understand what a lexeme is. We could able to understand what a token is. Then under token we have to cover 4 different tokens that is offered by Java, right? In that series, the first thing is identifier. Now the first and the biggest question is, what are identifier and why these identifiers are required? Right now, if you can recall, just earlier I have shared with you, every programming language, it may be Java, maybe Python, maybe any programming language, or you forget about programming language, let us talk about English. Every language comes up with some predefined words which I have to use only. What we cannot do, we cannot change the spelling, we cannot change the meaning of this predefined words. But apart from predefined word, there are some time when I have to create a new word for our requirement. You'll ask me, sir, when you want to create a new word? Suppose in your family there is a new kid and you want to name that kid. Suppose, right? Suppose you have built a house and you want to name this particular house, right? Or there may be a new place, you want to name that place. So for all these purpose, naming a kid, naming a building, naming a place, or maybe naming some new discoveries that you made, for all these, what we need, we have to go beyond this dictionary. We have to go beyond the dictionary. If I'll talk about the name of a kid, maximum of the times, 90% of the times what we are following, the name of the kid might be a god or goddess name. And this god or goddess name, this all these words might not be there in the predefined list. So this is a complete new word that is created by using the alphabet A to Z, isn't it? Now you will agree with me, apart from predefined word, I normally we require new words to be created for our own use, right? Now, what you know, every programming language, if I talking about a programming language, in every programming language, whenever we are writing a program, can you think of a program without a variable? Can you think of a program without a variable? The answer is obviously no, right? So there may be time when I want to name a variable, where I want to name a class, where I might name a method, or where there are some points I might name a user defined interface, like that. To name a variable, to name a class, to name a method, and to name a interface, at all these points, what we want, we have to create a user defined word, and that user defined word is called as an identifier. As the name suggests, it will identify the variable, it will identify the method, it will identify the class and the interface, right? So identifier is a name, or it is required to name a variable, a class, an interface, or a method, like that. So why identifiers are required? You can write why identifiers are required. The first point in this story is, it is used to name the class, variables, interfaces, methods, like that. So if at some point of time I have to name a class, name a variable, name an interface, name a method, then that is what called as an identifier. Suppose I am writing here int a. Now this a is an identifier because we have created this one. This is not there in the library, right? Now, what is the second point? What is the second one? Since we can able to create an identifier, is there any rule? I repeat, is there any rule to create such identifier? Yes, there are certain rules. What are the rules? We will discuss one by one. We'll discuss one by one. Like if I'll ask you, while you are naming a kid, what are the rules? What are the rules do you follow? You say, sir, no such rules are there. We can take a dictionary word and we can also take a new word. But here you have to follow certain rules. You cannot take dictionary words, means you cannot take reserved words. We'll go through that. Don't worry. The first point is, while naming a variable, while creating an identifier, that means naming a variable same as creating an identifier, right? The first point in this context is, the characters that are used to create an identifier, the characters that are used to create an identifier are the characters that used to create an identifier are, remember, I can create an identifier with the help of small a to z, capital A to z, maybe sometimes I have to add 0 to 9. And apart from all this, two special characters are allowed. One is underscore and the second one is dollar. In case by mistake, if we use any character beyond this 4, then definitely 100% pakka we are going to get an error message. So the first point towards this is the characters that used to create an identifier should be within this range. Or you can say the allowed characters that used, or the characters that use the same, this will be done, no problem at all. The character that used to create an identifier are this. You cannot go beyond this character. These are the only characters, right? Number 2. Second rule is first character of the identifier cannot be a digit. This is very, very vital point. Means, suppose I want to create an identifier. I can happily write ABC1, no problem, this is a valid identifier. But one ABC is invalid because I cannot write the first character of the identifier as digit. This is completely invalid, right? And if I am writing a variable as ABC at the rate, this is again invalid because at the rate is not allowed. The allowed characters are underscore and dollar. So if I write AB $C, no problem at all. If I write $AB, no problem at all. If I write underscore dollar, then AB, no problem at all. So up to this true rule, we can use anything from this character, either one of them or combination of them. Only thing I have to be very careful about the first character, and it should not be a digit. Clear? It should not be a digit. Now, the next one, the third one. Remember, spaces are not allowed in between. Spaces are not allowed in between. You can't use any space in between the identifier. Means I cannot write ABC space DEF, invalid. I can write ABC underscore DEF, no problem. I can write ABC DEF continuously, no problem. But in between space, invalid. You cannot do that. That is all about the third point. And the fourth point, and very important point, what should be the maximum length of a variable of an identifier? Remember, the maximum length or length has no limit in Java. Length has no limit in Java. Maximum of the people, they know the maximum length that is allowed in Java is 32. No. By rule, you can go up to any character. You can go up to any character. But it's always recommended that we should use length less than or equal to 15. This is recommended. That doesn't mean if I am writing an user defined or if are creating an identifier beyond this rule, it will not going to work. No, it is going to be perfectly okay. Let us check that one. Let us create a Java program. Let me write class FF or maybe class test. Don't worry, we'll learn everything about that one. Suppose I am creating an identifier. I am going creating this beautiful variable name. Now we'll see whether this is valid or invalid, right? So let's say I have created an identifier having length. I think the length is 138 character. So if I compile this one happily, my compiler says no problem boss, it's fine because I don't have a length limit. You can go up to any length. See, no problem at all. But at the same time, if I am writing ABC followed by DF, this is not allowed. You can check. Immediately your compiler will say int ABCDF, not a statement. Means you cannot give a space in between. So it says test.java at line number 6 there is an error. What error? Not a statement. Which one? DEF. Because it could not able to understand what DEF is, whether it's an identifier or it is what. That's why it says it is not applicable at all. Clear? Okay. Now similarly you can test all the rules that we have created, but if I am writing ABCDEF, happily it will be compiled without any error, right? Okay. Now I think this point is, all these 3.4 points are pretty clear. Now the next one and the important one, remember, maybe in our day-to-day life, if I can give the name of my kid as any dictionary word, I can, no problem at all. Nobody will say this is not the rule. There is no such rule I can give. But in programming language, what you cannot do, you reserved words are, or reserved words cannot be used as identifier. Remember this point. Remember this point. You cannot use reserved words as identifier. You cannot use. What that does mean? Means if I am trying to write int if, my compiler will say this is not allowed at all, because if is a reserved word. If you want to check, we can check. No problem at all. Let us check. See why I am going for that. I've already told you, please don't believe me. You should believe to your Java compiler. You always should believe to your Java compiler. Now, int, let's say if I'm writing like this, let's see what happens. Whether what it says. It says int if is not a statement. It could not able to understand where int is completed and where this is started. So illegal startup statement. So your compiler now is confused what to do with this statement, because int has its own rules and regulation, if has its own rules and regulation. So what we are doing, we are trying to combine both of them, and we are trying to use this if, which is a reserved word, which is a predefined word in Java, as identifier. And compiler say, hey, you cannot able to use this. Be careful next time. If you are creating an identifier, make sure you are not using any reserved word as identifier, right? Now the question is, that's definitely there should be biggest doubt in all of your mind. The doubt is, sir, how many reserved words are there in Java? Who are they? If we could able to know who are they, next time when we are creating Java identifier, we should be very careful. Array, these are the list of words that I should not use as an identifier. So it's very, very vital. You all should know all the reserved word, right? And to know the reserved word, let us discuss how many reserved words are there and what are they, right? So let's answer this question, this serial number 5, right? Now, as we are discussing, every programming language comes up with their predefined words. That predefined word, we are calling that word as reserved word. Now we'll see how many reserved words are there. Reserved words. Now in Java, listen very carefully. In Java, there are total 53 numbers of keyword. There are 53 numbers of keyword. Now we will discuss each and individual keyword. Don't worry. We'll know about all the keywords, right? Now this keyword is again divided into two categories. One category is called as literals, and one category are called as keywords. Keywords, right? Now, literals means constants. There are some predefined constants, right? In Java, there are 3 predefined constants. One is true, second one is false, and the third one is null. Remember, there are three predefined literals defined in Java, and those three predefined words also falls in the category reserved word. Clear? Okay. Now, after 3, how many left? 50 left. So, total how many keywords are there? 50 keywords are there. Now, these 50 keywords are divided into two categories. One category is called as unused keyword, and the previous category or the other category is called as used keywords. Now, there are two such statements in Java, two such keywords in Java, which are there in the Java library, but Java does not allow you to use them. There are two of that kind, of this particular kind. One of them is goto, and the second one is const, C-O-N-S-T. There are two reserved words which are there in the category of reserved word, but the Java does not allow the user or the programmer to write programs using these two keywords, right? So now how many keywords are there? How many reserved words are there? 53. Out of 53, 3 are literals and 2 are unused. So after 3 plus 2, 5, then we have how many used? We have total 48 numbers of used keyword, which are allowed to be used in Java programming language. Now, let us go to the next screen so that we can discuss all these 48 keywords, right? Let me erase this one. For our convenience, what we have done, we have grouped all of them together to a specific group so that we can enjoy or we can able to remember all the words, right? Okay, just give me a second. Now, we'll start with, remember we have to go for 48 keywords. The first keyword in the series, we will write like keywords for data type. Keywords for data types. Okay, what are they? The first keyword in this session is byte, short, int, long, float, double, byte, short, int, long, float, double, boolean, and character. So how many data keywords are there for data type? It is counting to 8. Remember this. Now, the next one, data types for flow control. Data types for flow control. Okay. Now, let us count. If, else, switch, case, default, break, continue, if, else, switch, case, default, break, continue, then for, while, do, and one more, that is return. So total how many? 11 data types. Let me reduce the size. Now the data types for flow control, how many of them? There are total 11 reserved words or keywords for flow control. Now 8, second one is 11. Now next, data types for access modifier. The people who are coming from C++ background, they can understand this point. Access modifiers are like private, public, protected, and that. Here we have, let us see how many keywords are there for access modifier. See, I have not written access specifier. All these things are access modifier. Private, public, protected, static, final, abstract, native, volatile, strict FP, synchronized, and transient. Now, how many reserved words are there for access modifier? They are again 11. Now, next. How many have completed? 11 plus 11, 22 plus 8, 30 we have completed. Okay. Next. Data types for class. Data types for class. Now, for class, of course, class itself, then interface, number 3, implements, number 4, package, number 5, import, number 6, extends. Now, for class, we have 6 access modifiers. Sorry, 6 data types, not access modifiers. Keywords are 6 for classes. Now, next, let me drag this particular class to right here so that we can have some space. We can easily complete in one window. Now, the next one. Next one is data types for object. Now, for object, the data types are new, this, super, and one more, instance of. So there are 4. There are 4 keywords for object. Now 11 plus 11, 22 plus 8, 30 plus 6, 36 plus 4, 40. Remaining 8 are there. Right. Okay. Now data type for exception handling. Exception handling. Try, catch, finally, throw, throws, try, catch, finally, throw, throws, and assert. Assert. Right? So 6 of them. Try, catch, finally, throw, throws, and assert. So they are 6 now. So next remaining 2. Then keyword for return type. Keyword for return type. There is only keyword for return type, that is void. So one more left, that is enum. Now I hope all 48s are covered. Data types for keyword are 8. This is 8. Again, this is 6. 8, 11 plus 11 is 22. 8, 30, 36, 40, 46, 47, and 48. And if you want to write all those 5s here again, literals like null, true, false, and 2 unused keywords are go to and const. So now all 53 keywords I have detected here, right? Remember, these are the available reserved words they are in Java, right? And while naming an identifier, make sure you have not used any of them as an identifier. That means if at some point of time I am writing like int of native, this is invalid. This is not netis actually, this is native, N-A-T-I-V-E. That's a spelling mistake. It's a native, right? So now, while creating this data type, make sure creating the identifier, make sure you have not used any of these reserved words. If you are using any of these reserved words, definitely your compiler will definitely give you an error message. 100% it will give you an error message. Clear? I think clear up to this point, right? Now, let's get back to our discussion. So this point is pretty clear. We cannot use any of the reserved word as a data type, but we can use the predefined methods and classes as identifier, but not recommended. Remember this point. If your interviewer is asking you, array, can we use int string or int main? Now the answer to this question is yes sir, we can happily use this, because string and main, these two are not reserved words. What these two are? These, one of them is a predefined class, one of them is a predefined method. So remember this point. Apart from reserved words, everything can be used as an identifier. No problem at all. But it is recommended you should not use the predefined classes or predefined methods as an identifier. But if you are using them, your compiler don't have any problem. To avoid the confusion, it is always recommended you should not use any of the predefined classes or any of the predefined methods as an identifier. You should not use it. But if you use it, the compiler won't give you an error message. But yes, if you are using any reserved word, definitely compiler will give you an error message without thinking for anything. So this is all about identifier. If I am creating an identifier, I have to be very keen about this 6 point, right? Keep this in mind. If you are creating identifier for any purpose, you have to keep the 6 points in mind. And not only this 6 point, you should be clear about all these 53 keywords offered by Java. Otherwise, you might make a mistake in creating an identifier. From my experience, let me share few things with you. In an interview room, one of the interviewer called the people who are the student who is there for interview, and he wrote a program like this: class test public void main string args. Now what he asked, listen very carefully, what he asked to that student who came for interview. Simple question. He asked, can you please count how many identifiers are there in this particular program? See to the question. The question is very simple. He have just written this kind of program, and he asked the student, can you please count how many identifiers are there in this program? That student counted. Sir, identifier number 1, identifier number 2, only 2 identifiers are there. Only 2 identifiers are there. And that student is rejected at that point of time, because this is the very basics of Java programming language. If you could not able to differentiate between identifier and reserved word, then you might not able to write the program. Right? Now, what is the correct answer to this question? See, class is a reserved word, so I can't call this as an identifier. This is one identifier for sure. Now, public is also, you can check. If you want to check, we can check. See here, here class is an identifier, right? Now second one, test is not there. Test is definitely an identifier. Test is not there anywhere. Next, public void, these two we can check it clearly. Void is there, public is there. So definitely public and void, these two are not identifiers. Now the next question is main. Whether main is there, in the reserved word category, you cannot find any main here. Whether string is there, no, you cannot find any string here. Right? Now in the list, what we have done, we have identified two more. One is this, one is this. ARGS is obviously an identifier. So how many identifiers we have found out? 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So how many identifiers are there? Exactly 4. This is the correct answer. Right? Okay. So this is what all about your identifier. Right? Maybe in the next video, we will look at different aspects of all other aspects of Java programming. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you all.